Thank you for joining us today. We have two crowds. We have a Puerto Rican crowd that is local here in the office today, and an international crowd that is with us online. I've had the pleasure to meet Dr. Jay Holder now for almost 20 years, learning from him and implementing torque release in our clinics. Torque release has dramatically changed the way we think about chiropractic, the chiropractic analysis, and the chiropractic adjustment. And it doesn't cease to amaze me every day after 30 years of practice, the amazing capabilities of the healing capabilities of the body when well analyzed and well adjusted through great tonal chiropractic care through torque release. Dr. Jay is going to talk to us today about the total model of chiropractic, and he's also going to talk to us about the brain reward cascade system. Before I leave you with Dr. Jay,
from throughout Latin America. This was all put together at the last minute, so it's not too much time that people have had to organize and reach out. But I do know that one of our great leaders, Alejandro Viterbo in Sao Paulo, Brazil, is listening in. And I know that we have listening in from many other of the Latin American countries and Chile and Argentina and more. I say, hello, everybody. It's been a long time since I've seen you, and I hope to see you again soon. Just got to give me a call and invite me back. So we're going to talk about the tonal model. And the reason that I chose that topic is because it is fundamentally the most important subject for any chiropractor. There's an unfortunate scenario behind the reason that it's important. Actually, two. One, of course, that it is the essence, the foundation of what chiropractic's all about. But there's a problem, and that's part two. That is that for political reasons, the most important single thing ever about chiropractic, its tonal model, for over, about 130 years, not one book has been written on the tonal model or the tonal model of chiropractic. And if it weren't for the tonal model, there'd be no chiropractic. I'll give you sources as I go. D.D. Palmer discovered chiropractic in 1895, but he had put together in his mind the concept of what chiropractic was and upon what he founded it on. So we know what he founded chiropractic on because he has it on the signature page or the title page on the inside of his first book, that big, thick book that most people refer to as D.D. Palmer 1910. And of course, if you open the green cover, the hard cover, on the bottom of the page, it says, by D.D. Palmer, and the copyright's 1910. And then underneath that, in all caps bold, founded on tone. Well, I think that makes it clear that chiropractic, if it's founded on anything, it's at least tone. Now, today, I travel lots of places. I teach lots of different subjects, not just chiropractic. And when I teach chiropractic, it's not just technique. I teach on philosophy, and I teach on the scientific basis of the subluxation, published papers, and other research. I meet people all the time that say, oh, this is tonal, or I use a tonal technique, or this is tonal, or that's tonal. And only within the last 7 or 8 years, this is like a fast-moving buzzword. Everybody's using this term. And not one of the people that I've met truly understand what they're talking about. I mean, they're wonderful, nice, sincere people. They're great chiropractors. But what we do in chiropractic is we very easily use vocabulary words, sentences, and we actually don't know the meaning. But we can use them in a sentence, and that's what happens. And we have to stop that because if we can take time to understand what these words mean, it will improve your visualization and intent, which is ultimately the art of the practice. In other words, when you walk up to a patient and you locate and adjust the subluxation, it is necessary to have the highest visualization and intent possible because your outcomes will be improved. Well, if you don't clearly understand the terminology, and they're simple terms, you're not going to get the best possible outcomes. So when we talk about, for instance, innate, every chiropractor uses the word innate in a sentence, okay? Whether they believe in it or not, perhaps they are against innate and they think that that's old-fashioned. And there are those that take it very seriously. But in both cases, can they define innate? Can they tell you what it means? No. To each person, it means something, but in pieces. We just use it in a sentence, and we expect that that's certainly good enough. It's not good enough. Well, we'll say subluxation. What's a subluxation? Patients ask their chiropractors what a subluxation is, I assume, from time to time. What is it that you tell your patients? What is a subluxation? And is it worthy? In other words, is your response worthy of what the subluxation is? Chiropractic. What's chiropractic? If somebody asked you, what is chiropractic? What would you say? Well, let's get to the point. The tonal model. Something as important as the very foundation of what chiropractic, innate intelligence, the subluxation, the chiropractic adjustment is founded on the tonal model. The tonal model is very sophisticated, yet I'm going to put it in simple terms. But I want to also tell you that it's surprisingly, of course, innovated, created, invented by D.D. Palmer. Why is that surprising? Well, D.D. Palmer, it's not clear how far along he continued with his education. We pretty much lose track around 8th grade. So now we're talking about a man who comes from Canada, relocates to Iowa, and starts his career and maybe has an 8th grade education. Well, that's not bad news. The good news as well is that we're talking about someone at such a genius level that it's very, very difficult to comprehend the essence or the amount of IQ this person must have had. We all know that B.J. Palmer was a genius. But in studying and reading handwritten manuscripts of the greats, including B.J. and D.D. Palmer, there is no question that whatever the IQ was of B.J. Palmer, double it for his father, D.D. I mean, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if there was some way we could go back in time and give him an IQ test. His IQ would be higher than Einstein. It's not an exaggeration. Listen to what he did. What D.D. Palmer did. He invented quantum physics and the holographic model. Now, a lot of you are probably saying right now, you know, I'm going to turn this recording off because that's bizarre. Everybody knows that Heisenberg, you know, got the Nobel Prize in 1933, you know, because he discovered and invented quantum physics and the holographic model. Well, actually, he did get the Nobel Prize in 32 and then received it in 33. And there's no taking that away from him. But it was because of subterfuge and political intrigue that nobody was allowed to know that D.D. Palmer had done it maybe 20 years earlier. You know, it's like when we say that an explorer like Christopher Columbus discovered the northern hemisphere or the New World, but it was always there. He didn't invent it. He discovered it. So sooner or later, things are going to be discovered, and sometimes by multiple people. And a really good example here is that the Vikings were here before Columbus, but they didn't write it down. So Columbus got hundreds of years of credit right up front for doing it, and now we have to revisit that. There was a reason that D.D. Palmer's discovery of quantum physics and the holographic model was not known until about